and welcome to Sun City Showcase. I'm Ann DeLoe, and I'm delighted to be here, and I think you're going to be delighted with my guest today. We're going to have a visit with Steve J. Now, you're going to meet Steve J, and then I'm going to let him tell you just what that J stands for. And that's because my maiden name is Guckenberger, or was Guckenberger, and now when you hear his, hey, welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you. And the J is for Jablanowski. That's quite a mouthful, Guckenberger, too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Now, if we had Guckenberger and Jablanowski, I said it right, we might be maybe a good German sausage or either lawyers or something.
Something. Must hire a good secretary to say that when she answers the phone. That's a lot of words to say.
Yes, it is.
When they hired me out in Sun City West, all of a sudden there was just nicknamed J.
I think it's smart.
It was pretty smart. It makes it easy, and everything else I have says Jablanowski on it, so I know who I am, and there aren't that many Steves. So.
No. Now, Steve, I told them we're going to have a visit with you today, and you just don't look like you fit into Sun City. Everyone knows over the whole country that that's a retirement community. What are you doing there?
Well, it's funny. When we live over in Scottsdale now, my wife Christine and my family, and we were looking last fall for a place to build a home. Mm-hmm. And we charted off into the north of Bell areas and ended up on the new 101 extension up there, and came out to Sun City and kept going. We came into Sun City West and said, gosh, this is just a beautiful community. Look at everything. There is no rock out of place. And I said, this is where we want to live. Then we found out that our ages combined wouldn't allow us to purchase a home out there. And well, so we made another goal. We thought we might find and see if we can find some employment out in that area, because it was just a nice place to be around. Mm-hmm. It was just very, very pretty for us.
Yeah. And so how did you find this employment there? It's special, isn't it?
It is a very nice position. I'm very fortunate to be in the business of golf and to be able to make a living in this business. It's a leisurely a way of spending time, and just about everybody who comes to see you in the golf business is happy because they're going out to do something that they want to do. So it's not like seeing a car mechanic who's, there's a problem all of a sudden. This way, the problem, there's always, something positive can be reached at the end, where in a car you're going to have to pay a big bill. Mine isn't that big.
Well, now, Steve, I hope you're going to help us. You see, sometimes when I go out to the golf course, I go off with a smile, but I come in crying.
Oh, gosh, I know.
Now, how are you going to help all of us with that?
From smiling and crying?
Yes.
Oh, probably by keeping a positive attitude.
Okay, that's one thing.
I was very fortunate to have caddied in the Phoenix Open this last January.
Oh, did you?
For John Schoonover. He, if you don't know John, he's the head golf professional at Briarwood Country Club, which is the private equity course in Sun City West.
Yes.
Probably one of the top 5 players in the state. And I was teaching at Briarwood before I took the job in Sun City West, and John was one of the local qualifiers for the Phoenix Open. And we went out there, and I knew the golf course from some previous work experience out there, and caddied for him for 2.5 days. It was very interesting doing that, and well, that's how I got into Sun City West. And I'm bringing that up.
Yes.
We had a chance to play with John Daly, who, if you know the name, had just won the PGA Championship at Crooked Stick.
Oh.
And talking about smiles and frowns, back to that, John Daly, who is about 160-something on the money list on the PGA Tour.
Yes.
We, all 3 of us out there, hit some real wild-looking shots that would bring frowns and smiles to everybody.
You mean you mean pros do that once in a while?
Oh, sure. If you think about it, when you watch television, you watch the tour on TV, you're only watching the top 10 out of 170 players for that particular week.
Right. We forget that, don't we?
Yeah, so you always see perfect shots because they're playing at the best of their game. When you're out there with us, where we're the last local qualifiers, you see a lot of shots, and every golf shot does make someone happy, whether it's your opponent or yourself.
Oh, well, that's a second beautiful attitude, because if you're unhappy yourself, you're making someone else happy.
Well, or if you hit a bad shot and you have a wager for a nickel, that shot might make someone happy too. So.
Well, Steve, let's back up a minute, though, and kind of talk about your background a little bit, and then, if you will, explain to the viewers as well as to me if the school that you go to, the PGA school, if that is the same school that the touring pros have gone to and so forth. And is there more than one school? So now you...
And that's 1, 2, 4 questions. But we might run out of time if I do all that. We'll try to to talk about my experience and how I ended up out here in Arizona. I started golf back in Columbus, Ohio, where my father was at Ohio State at the time. He was going, becoming a career student while building a family at the same time, and we had an older brother and a younger brother. We grew up in right on Scioto Country Club, which is Jack Nicklaus's old stomping grounds.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't play golf at the time, but we used to terrorize the local golf course by going out there with our kites and fishing the carp out of the lakes and taking balls out of the rough when no one was looking. And it so happened I ran into Jack Nicklaus the first time, which got me interested in it. Well, we were in his way on one of the par fours, and his father was with him, and his father was yelling at us to get out of the way, and we were just ignoring him. And they ended up hitting and coming down the fairway, and he helped us out with our kite, helped us right off the Scioto Country Club, as a matter of fact. But it was nice, and it was interesting that I remember that story when I got into the golf business. Well,
did it influence you at all?
Just
having met him, do you think?
What was the bigger influence was how much room there is on a golf course and how free the spaces are, and just the way that when I started seeing other courses, that how different designers use the existing terrain to sculpt a golf course. Something real unique that you don't find in any other sport. You can play a baseball diamond's a baseball diamond, a tennis court's a tennis court. You go play golf. There's so much individuality involved in the design that every course you play is different. You can travel around the world and never see the same course twice.
That's given me a whole new outlook.
Hey, it smiles and grins, right?
Sure, that's right.
After Ohio, we followed the family to New Jersey, where I started in junior golf program at a public course. I used to ride my bicycle up after school and start playing, hanging around the golf shop, bothering the golf professional. I just thought it was kind of neat that he was the guy that could play so good, and everyone was always envious of his skills, and I just kept playing and playing, and I'd go up real early on the weekends as a single to try to get into the games, but I kept getting further back in the rotation.
This was a municipal golf course.
And a lot of municipal courses on the East Coast, if you know the starter, you can play. If you don't, and that lasted that summer, and then I decided I was going to do a
How
little...
old were you then?
12 years old. Yeah, just riding the bike and carrying an old set of clubs from my dad. And we, the next summer I said I was going to play better and get involved and go out and play with guys and show them that I could play. A big thing to...
Of course, and at that age.
It's funny, I understand now, as being 30 years old and having 2 young children right now, how difficult it was for me to break into the golf business and to play golf. That I try to do a lot for the junior program here in Arizona as well.
Good. So. Because there are a lot of children who aren't so privileged that they can't play at a club course all the time.
Sure, and even in Sun City West, where you don't think there are a lot of kids during our seasons, and there's an awful lot of visitors, and we'd love to see them.
Grandchildren?
Sure. Grandchildren and all kinds of winter visitors that I guess Sun City West does have more house guests than any other community in the area in the wintertime. So
I would imagine that in your teaching, which we're going to get into that, what you're doing there, that you must love teaching the young grandchildren as well as the older people who live there.
Well, sure.
Is that a possibility?
If for my own personal gain or reward, anytime you get some positive feedback or related into a good shot, if you will, on the practice range, it's a good feeling all around, whether the person is 90 or 9. If they smile and get oh gee, I gave 6 lessons this morning and I got a couple, well actually I got 4 smiles and 2, well, gonna have to work a little more. So, there's so I go home with the same good feelings as somebody who sold 3 insurance packages in the same day. That I have my own rewards and my own goals in a daily period.
Steve, you're not at one particular golf course there in Sun City West. There are about how many? Are there 10 maybe that you're affiliated with?
That's a good question too. A larger part of the community outside of the Sun Cities areas isn't really familiar with the structure of what happens out. I'm not that familiar with the Sun City, but in Sun City West there are 7 golf courses right now. 5 are championship-rated courses, which means a full 18 between par 70 and 72, and 2 are executive courses, which have a more called par 3 courses. Hillcrest is one of the clubs, the original club there that is still operated by Del Webb, the
Yes.
original builder.
That's a great one to play. It's a long course.
It's a long course, and
I've liked it.
it gets quite a bit of play. They do more play than the private club in Sun City West, which is called Briarwood.
Yes.
We talked about John before.
Mm-hmm.
Then the 5 other courses is where I do my golf instruction.
And what is your thing that you do there? You don't have anything to do with the selling of the clothes, do you?
No, I'm under contract by the recreation centers, and this is a brand new position they just have put together out there. They foresaw a need to have some quality golf instruction, consistent instruction throughout the 5 courses that they never had before.
I see.
The individuals that were there before, the golf professionals, were really tied up in the day-to-day operation of the 5 courses, or 4 as they grew. So they kind of lost track of what was happening. So we have had a lot, and I say we because I feel like they've made me part of the community. It's a lot of fun
nice.
to be out there. We have been turning our lessons, or our individuals who are looking for good instruction, to other courses, out to away from Sun City
Is that
West
right?
to seek quality instruction. So they go out to Bel Air and out to, and the recreation centers saw this and said, well, why can't we do this here? So it was a brilliant idea by the general manager, Steve O'Donnell, to get something like this together, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
That's delightful.
And the bridge work early in my life paid off pretty well.
Well, we hope that everyone will enjoy it as much as you seem to also. That's wonderful.
Well, going back to what I said before, it's an awful nice way to make a living, and
Yes.
I feel real fortunate. My wife has a hard time sometimes when people ask what her husband does. This gets back to your original question. He's a golf pro, she says. Oh, great. The initial thought is that he's off on the tour in Florida or Hawaii, bouncing the little ball around, and he brings home $100,000. Well, you can, call Visa and MasterCard right now, and they'll know that that's not me getting those checks in.
Yeah. Steve, but you went to the same PGA school, didn't you? Is there just one school, or are they different places in the country?
That gets back to it. Thanks. I keep going on a tangent here. This is a lot of fun.
That's all right.
Great. There are 2 really different ways you can be a golf professional. One is probably the easiest way and most identifiable is a tour player. A PGA Tour player goes to something called a PGA Tour School, which is playing 7 rounds of golf and 7 days, and being the best out of that group to get his card, which is a PGA Tour card,
that, and,
which gives him the right to play the tour for 1 year.
I see.
If he finishes in the top number of, I think it's 125th on the money list, he's allowed to continue the next year. So that's the PGA Tour School, and that's just ability. That's just skill. What a PGA professional does, that's the Professional Golfers Association, which is a fraternal organization of members that are golf professionals like myself that look out for the betterment of the game. And we have a code of conduct and the whole bit.
Code of ethics?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
oh, gosh, yeah. There's fines for breaching it.
I bet there are.
Especially in job hunting. If somebody wants to hire me as a golf professional in a community, and the pro that's already in the community doesn't know that they're looking, that's a breach of our code of ethics. We want to give everybody an equal chance to.
I like your attitude, and I like it about good ethics too. And I want to take a moment for the viewers, though. I bet they're going to hope that they might learn something that they can use from you. So I'll go. This little blurb written by you was interesting to me, because isn't chipping and pitching one of the most important parts of the game? And you have said something here about whether you use the wedge or, say you're just 10 feet off the green. What are you going to use? 10, 15 feet.
That's a good part. When you play golf and shoot 100, 50 of those shots are chips and pitches and putts.
Okay.
So that's half the game. So it's a big part of the game to practice. Unfortunately, you don't see a lot of players practicing those shots and putts quite a bit. They're more tend to go on the range and power 10 shots and go to the tee automatically. And it's unfortunate they lose that.
I'm listening to you.
I know you are. I know.
I'm
Don't worry.
going to do it.
We won't. We'll get it. When you're around the green, and one of my ideas there, and it's something shared by a lot of other pros, was make believe you have an option of picking the ball up in your hand and tossing it towards the hole.
You mean kind of like
Yeah.
this?
Now you're imagining this because you can't touch the ball, of course, but you want to see, are you going to toss it up high to allow it to gently fall and roll
No,
to the
I
hole?
probably wouldn't.
Not from 10 feet or 8
No.
feet away, would you? You'd probably throw it lower.
I'd probably go like this and kind of
Right, and
roll
you'll
it
get
like,
it. You'll
more
get
like
it a lot
bowling.
closer. Exactly, you'll get it a lot closer to the hole. And then when you decide that, all you have to do is go in that big bag of yours or
Yes.
mine and pick a club that'll get the ball just that high.
Yeah.
And that's the club you use for the shot. As long as you have that plan
Yeah.
going, and you know you're not trying to wish the ball close to the hole with the wrong club, you're going to be okay. You'll get it generally closer than you would, and it's percentages. It's how many times you're going to get the ball close, and not how many times you're going to leave it right there in front of you.
Now, my next question is, if you're just, say, from here to here, off the green, is it advisable? Some people have told me you should never use a putter other than on the green surface.
Well, you can get your worst putt closer to the hole than your worst pitch or chip. So a little rule of thumb would be to putt whenever you can, chip when you can't putt, and then pitch when only absolutely necessary. So the
Okay,
lower
repeat that, because I think I want to hear that.
putt when you can,
Mm-hmm.
chip when you can't putt,
Chip when you can't putt,
and pitch only when you have to.
and pitch only
The
when
closer you keep the ball to the ground, the closer you'll get it to the hole. Then you only have one variable to deal with. That's the distance. You don't have to worry about height.
No.
Once you're lined up right. Well, then then you just have to hit it.
Gosh,
That's
I feel
all, Ann.
excited already. I can't wait to go out and try.
Well, maybe we will see you out on the lesson tee.
Yes. And Steve, what do you hope to do for the older golfer? That's what you're going to be working with out here, isn't it?
It is.
Does it make a difference, older
Ann,
and younger?
I tell you, the age is only in the mind as far as I'm concerned, and you hear that from the folks out there. The activity of the residents of Sun City and Sun City West amazes me, and I'm hoping that I can keep up with
with the rest of us?
exactly. It's not anything that I've just made up. It's an honest feeling. That's why I enjoy
Good.
working out with the community.
That's great.
The age barrier or the age difference between me and them doesn't work. You know, there's no problem there either. I seem to
Good.
communicate with everyone, and that's the key. There is
Yeah.
really finding out what they want.
Yes.
What do they want out of 30 minutes? And if I can listen, then I'm in. Then we get the point across.
What about, my question now would be, when you're talking about the older golfer, I see that some men's swings reduce some. They're not the full swing that they used
They
to
certainly
take. Can
do,
you
and
talk about that?
sure can.
And whether that's good, bad, or all right?
Good, bad, or all right. I think it can be the good and all right. The
Okay.
physical ability of someone to swing should never hamper their ability to play golf or, more importantly, enjoy what they're doing out there. It's probably going to be a heavy blow to me when I reach a certain part when I won't be able to strike the ball as far as I do or as well as I do, and I'm going to do my best not to let that ever happen. There are golfers out there in Sun City West that are scratch players that I don't stand a
Scratch
chance against right now.
players?
Sure, they carry a 5 handicap, but
But they're actually scratched?
if they go out there and playing with mine, I don't stand much of a chance at winning. They can get in the hole. So, and that's 70 and 80 years old.
It's a remarkable game, then, for a lifetime.
It's a lifetime game, isn't it? Start real early and never
Yes.
stop. The physical disabilities of individuals is a challenge
Please
for them.
talk about that.
There are times with heart conditions and arthritis, especially
Yes.
at this age, and where the ability to move the club around and get back to the ball is difficult and painful. There are different things we
Oh,
can...
yes, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing, too, that the enjoyment of the game might be cut in half because of the fact that it's painful. Why would you want to go out and
Yes.
be hurt at the end of the day? And I can work around some of those differences that individuals have with arthritis and the other things by getting the most out of the game that they have and instilling in them a positive approach to what they're doing, and that is still fun for them.
Steve, in giving your lessons, you probably, I would think maybe people who have these handicaps coming upon them maybe need to see you as much or more than those of us who are still able to swing the same way.
That's
What I'm trying
yeah.
to say is, do you show them a different way?
Well, I try not to change somebody's swing.
I see.
At this stage of the game, and really if they're 20 years old or 80 years old, the one thing that a golfer has going for him is a consistent swing, or a swing that's consistent to them. Whether you go out there and swing it one way, you're going to swing the same the whole time. So we deal with the fundamentals of setup, and posture and ball, and try to find those areas where the club's coming back down to the ball the same all the time, so we can get more out of it. And love to get to work on the chipping and pitching, because that's where they can really gain the shots back.
Did you hear that, folks? Now, speaking of the chipping and the pitching and the ball, tell us, the viewers, how women select a ball to play with when they go to buy one, and how that varies and why.
Out in Sun City West, I think the women select the ones that their husbands give them.
Oh, yes.
It's funny. It says, no, I'll save these for Gladys. And
but should we women be playing with a ball that has less, what do you say?
Less compression is, I think, the word you're looking for. And
that is it.
The difference really isn't whether it's a man or a woman. It's how your ability to hit the ball and strike it is. Naturally, most of the women's golf swing is going to be a little slower than the men's, so it's going to be a smaller or a less compressed ball. Like the Flying Ladies or the Titleist 80s, 80 would mean the compression ratio of the ball. The lower, the better. The higher, the more difficult to compress, like the ball that a tour professional would use would be called 100.
And if we women who don't have that hard swing use that ball, how does it differ? It doesn't go as far then.
It certainly
won't.
Not giving it'd be like hitting a rock, because the ball is a wound ball, or the ball has a material in it that will compress, and then when that ball expands back out, that's distance in it.
I think that will help a lot of us then in selecting.
It will, and balls do deteriorate in age. If you've had a ball that has been sitting in your golf bag all summer long, and you've been up in Minnesota, 3 years, you play a pretty good game of golf if you had balls in your bag. So they will deteriorate over one summer out here. That ball's probably not going to be good to anybody except the fish.
Oh,
so you do want to replace them. And they're balls that are taken out of lakes and things are always good quality stuff. They're not in there that long, especially the programs going in the lakes in Arizona, and the pros sell them at a pretty good price. And those are probably your best bet.
Oh. On the practice tee, should people be out there practicing quite a bit? And should they be having a lesson before they practice so they don't practice the wrong thing? That's always worried me.
It depends, and it depends on how good or how much better you want to improve. If there's nothing to say that, like the Notre Dame coach, when you're satisfied with where you are, you're done. That's not necessarily true in golf. If you're happy enjoying the space, and I talked about that before, about the golf courses and the company, and believe me, there's an awful lot of visiting that goes on in a foursome or a fivesome out in Sun City West.
That's right.
That takes precedence over the game, and there's a lot of times that the game takes precedence over the visiting. And it's just a matter of what you feel personally that you want to get. If you want to improve, it's time to see your golf professional. If you like where you are, and you're happy with where you are, go out and hit a couple of balls, warm up, and go play. Go right to it. But do something. Get out there. And I think it's
Steve, I really like your attitude about the game. I think it's going to encourage all of us to go out there and once in a while get a little help and then also enjoy the game. Now, if people were to want to contact you, particularly since you're so attractive, they might want to have a lesson with you. How do they get in touch with you? We're not putting any numbers up because I understand you're all over the place.
Oh, yes. My contract involves teaching it at 5 golf courses in Sun City West, Stardust, Grandview, Pebblebrook, Echo Mesa, and Trail Ridge, which is the newest one to the community, which puts me at courses at various times, and I try to keep a 3-day schedule at each course and rotate around.
I see.
So there's schedules available in all the golf shops.
So they can call those shops.
Sure. They can call any of their favorite golf course and find out where I am, and if they want to take a lesson at their course, they can wait till my rotating schedule gets back to there. But all the managers in the shops are real qualified people, and their staffs are very pleasant, and they're looking forward to hearing from you. And we're trying to take care of the golfing needs, and it's a lot of fun to do.
Now, we have a little surprise for you. You see that sitting there? We'd like to know if you know what that is.
Well,
and then I'll tell you a story about it.
Before we came out on the set here, I was looking at that, and I read the top, and I was trying to figure out what it was, and I think just kind of staring at it out of the corner of my eye, I think I figured out how it works.
Yeah?
Well, it's a portable putting cup.
That's right.
And it has these little pieces of steel under here.
Yes.
When the ball rolls in, they don't roll the other way, does it?
No, it stays in there.
That's brilliant. Where did you get that?
Well, that's a nice story. I lived in Pennsylvania, up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and as you may know, Arnie Palmer came comes from
That area,
Latrobe.
Latrobe,
And
yeah.
his father had a golf course there many, many years ago, was golf pro, and that's where that came from. A friend gave it to me and said that was from Arnie Palmer's father, so I've always kept it as like a little memento.
How about that? That's kind of
special.
fun.
Now, see, I have some contact via with Arnold Palmer, and you have direct with Jack Nicklaus, so I don't know whether that's going to help our golf game.
Directly, indirectly, I think.
Yeah, direct and indirectly. Now, are you planning any special tournaments or anything in Sun City West? Do they do that much?
Well, all the different clubs, the 5 clubs have their own ladies and men's associations, which are pretty much in-house run. They have their own tournament chairman, their own monitors. They do a pretty good job, from what I've seen, of managing their own, golf events.
And how quickly, I see we're winding down on time, but I'm sure you would encourage, if people haven't played golf, they should just contact one of those courses, shouldn't they?
Out in Sun City West, yeah, if they're a resident or a guest of a resident, they can call the Recreation Center courses, and I'd be available.
But I mean, if
for
they're
those areas,
moved there and just wanting to learn, they're not too old to learn, are they?
And you wouldn't believe the amount of people that have a golf cart and 2 sets of brand new clubs in their garage and have never played, only because there was a spot for the golf cart in the garage. And so it's a lot of fun, and we're looking for those people. We're ready to accommodate them and get them out there to enjoy what they have in Sun City West.
Well, I have a dear cousin, and she said that, having lost her husband, she's just thinking that she's just going to get back into golf, and I said, go for it. Wouldn't you say that?
I would think that's a great idea. Aside from the fact that she can pass some time in an enjoyable atmosphere, she's going to rejuvenate friendships and meet people and get back into a social atmosphere that might be a little more conducive to her being alone at that time. I think it's a great thing.
Well, I'd like to shake the hand of a PGA golf professional. It's been delightful having you here.
Thank you very much.
Happy golfing.